Back in the, yeah. Tell them to watch it. Now I ain't talking my pockets. Just know we ain't running out the way that we stock it. If I got it, you got it.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, hi, welcome. My name is Monica, and if you're a returning subscriber, hey babe, thank you once again for gracing us with your presence. And that's on period. So as you can see, today we're filming a sit-down video yet again, and today we'll be filming the roles and responsibilities of an EPIK teacher versus an independent public school teacher. So without any further ado, let's start with the disclaimer. Disclaimer is, in this house, I discuss what I went through. It might not necessarily be what another person has gone through. So I was once an EPIK teacher, which was last year, and this year I'm teaching at a public school, but not with EPIK. So, you know the vibes. I have my phone here. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is co-teaching. So I'm going to start with EPIK. With EPIK, I had two schools, which was my main school, the school that hired me, and my travel school. So with my main school, I had a main co-teacher who was known as the English teacher. So this was the person who was responsible for my paperwork, everything. So she was my main co-teacher. Each and every class came to the English class, which was me and her. So I had that one main co-teacher, and at my travel school, each class came with their own teacher, which were my co-teachers. So each and every grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I had a co-teacher in the classroom. But the person who was solely responsible for me at that school, in terms of admin at that school, was the 5th grade teacher. So in my main school, I had one main co-teacher, and in my travel school, I had 4 co-teachers. And right now at the public school that I'm teaching at, I do not have a co-teacher. I do not have a co-teacher. We just have coordinators, which are 2, and there are several. I will not give the exact same number, like the exact number of foreign teachers, but we're a lot. So the coordinators are in charge of us, but they are not our co-teachers. So I do not have a co-teacher, which is God bless. And the teaching styles. Let's start with EPIK. With EPIK, with my main school, Cruella was just off. When we started, the first month of me working there, I was purely observing how she was teaching, and she is a traditional teacher. You know how traditional teachers are. They go by the book. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Irregardless of how the students are grasping the information, she wants things done a certain way. And I feel like we blurred the lines because we didn't establish what's what or who's doing what, right? And that kind of put us in an awkward situation at the beginning or majority of the year, because she would teach when she's in the mood. She would teach every class like back to back, and then Zungu in the mix, or the day she feels like she doesn't want to teach, she's like, oh, Monica, come teach. And the thing is, you become so relaxed, because imagine prepping that, oh, okay, here is how far we are with the kids, and this is what I'm preparing, and you don't get to teach that material. Every day you're preparing to teach and you don't teach. And the day that you're relaxed, you're calm, umuntu is like, yeah, bona, come and teach. So that was kind of offish, but we got to a point where we're like, you know what? I was like, bro, like, can you just tell me what I'm supposed to do or which class I'm supposed to teach? Or better yet, let's just split classes. We agreed on that. So she decided to teach 3rd and 6th grade, and then I had 4th and 5th grade, of which 4th grade, there were 3 of them. And then it was twins and this other girl. So the twins left. I was left with one child. So I was teaching one child, and 5th grade, it was 4, 1 boy and 3 girls, of which it was fine. Like, there was no pressure since it was a small school. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to do. And then she would do this thing, and mind you, I would teach the content. And the funny thing about EPIK is that, to those that are going to be EPIK teachers, right, the textbook is in Korean. It is 90% Korean, 10% English, of which I feel like it's kind of sketchy, because how can you teach English and Korean to get it? But yeah, I found my way through it through CoTeer. I'll put the name here so that it can be useful to you. And then that's where you can also find games. So you can find a hard drive that has like the teaching PPTs and the games that you can play with the kids. So every time I would play the games with the kids, she'll be like, oh, can you please borrow me that game or send it to me or whatever. But yeah, no homo, I gave her. And then at my travel school, I was like to the teachers, and luckily they understood. Like, my travel school was nice, like the co-teachers were nice, their communication was great. They were like, okay, we can teach the content because it's in Korean, and you can teach the last 10 minutes, of which was the game part. I was basically the games teacher. But when it came to like pronunciation, articulation of words, they opted to me because I'm the English teacher, of which I found that to be very nice, because you feel like you're doing something other than a person butchering a word, because Cruella pronounces a th, like th as s, and I've noticed that's how many Koreans pronounce their words. But yeah, at my travel school, 3rd, 4th, 6th, the 5th grade teacher, however, my main co-teacher at that, wanted me to teach the whole 40 minutes, of which I didn't find a problem with it. I taught, and in the last 10 minutes I would teach them a game that had the content that we did. So when they're playing a game, they can also learn in the midst of it, of which that was fine. And with my school now, I teach however I want. Whichever teaching style I have or I want, I teach the way I see is best fit for my students. However, with my school, we have a monthly plan. Every month we do monthly plans prior to the month. So this month is July. Let's just say we're not closing, right? We would plan for August, and then in August we already know what we're doing. Do you get it? So you have to follow that monthly plan for as long as you are on schedule, you're on schedule, then it's fine. You can incorporate games when you've done the material, like when you're done with the material, and then you can do review games. Do you get it? So that's how I teach at my school now, and that is so good. But in terms of work, I noticed that with the EPIK textbook, the content would finish quickly, right? As compared to now, where the content is a lot, of which you have to squish it in, like, you're pressed for time, like you have to finish the syllabus at this specific time. Do you get it? Yeah. And then classroom management. I'm gonna start with EPIK. PCA. You're not allowed to shout at a student in Korea. You're not allowed to reprimand them like that. So you should be wary of that, because hey, you might be in trouble. You might be in trouble, and especially with the ones that push you, like, you have to hold yourself. Like, emotional intelligence is important. Luckily, when I was with EPIK, my students were fine. And in terms of managing their behavior, you leave it to the Korean teachers. If a child does 1, 2, 3, you call the Korean teachers. If a child, that's what I used to do, like with Cruella and the other 4. And there was just something the Korean teachers would do. Like, I would see with my 4th graders at my travel school, there were 13 of them, which was my biggest class. both my main school and my travel school, right? If a child would misbehave or something, he would take them and put them at the back of the class and just look at them. And this child will start crying. I'm like, bro, he just looked at you. And I don't know if these kids are sensitive or they're just, hey, man, they're eggs, man. I'm a kinda like, like. But with the school now, you still need to be wary of how you reprimand the kids, because you might get into trouble if you take a certain steps. So in my classroom, I introduced the naughty corner. That has been a saving grace when it comes to my classroom management, because I don't have to say much. The reward system and the naughty corner. If you don't know what the reward system is, I had a TikTok where I was talking about the rewards. Please check that out. And it's sort of like an accountability thing, right? Where you know that you have to behave a certain way for you to get a reward. I know that that might be a bad thing sometimes, because some kids just don't care. But if it's a classroom thing, they kind of hold each other accountable. And with the naughty corner, I reprimand you 3 times. The first time, it's a warning. The second time, I give you a strike. Third strike, fourth strike. Sorry. So if you get 3 strikes, you go to the naughty corner. I put a timer on the screen for 5 minutes, right? If you fail, you come back, you sit down, and I have to reprimand you again. That's when I'll go and tell the coordinator. And mind you, before I did that, I didn't ask for permission. I told them that this is what I'm doing, because every time we come to you guys and tell you, oh, this child, you just talk to them and they come and do the same thing. And isolation is frowned upon in the Korean culture or the Korean schools, because if a parent, especially with schools that listen to the parents like Hagwons, and my school is low-key a Hagwon, the parents might feel somehow, or why is my kid being isolated during class time? They're not going to listen to what is being taught. But if your child is misbehaving, what must I do? What must I do? Do you get it? So yeah, I introduced the naughty corner and the reward system, of which it has been helpful till now. Okay, and the 4th thing I want to talk about is tests and assessments. If I tell you that those kids in EPIK, they do not write formal tests, you will not believe me. My kids, they've never written a test in English. My main school and my travel school, they had this thing. After each chapter, they would put a Korean audio, which is in the textbook, and then they would print this other paper in Korean. They would listen and they would write, and then they would mark. If a child gets a low mark, they rewrite. Tell me, how is that learning? Like, in terms of assessments, sometimes when we're doing the content, I would go on CoTeer and look for like a worksheet. That's what I used to do to get them to learn in English. And if they don't understand, we correct it as a classroom and we discuss it. Even when Cruella was there, like, we'd just discuss it. If they don't understand, she translates, so on and so forth. And at my travel school, the 4th grade teacher used to make them write, the 6th grade teacher. And the 3rd grade, I think all the grades, they used to write like spelling tests, like after each and every, like at the beginning of a chapter towards the end, like every time they would come, more especially the 6th graders, they would like every time write spelling tests to see whether they're getting the spelling correct and everything, and they would go through that, and I would give them like worksheets of what they should do, right? And in my main school, I said tests, guys. They write quizzes, they write finals, and tests are in English. The tests have to do with the content that we did in class. The whole, like, let's just say we teach 2 chapters and then they write a quiz. We teach 2 chapters and then they write a quiz. So out of those 4 chapters, you have to make a final test that consists of like 2 chapters, but you need to consult the other teachers before you set up the test. Or are you guys, which chapters did your kids perform well in? Are you guys satisfied with these chapters before you can set a test? Because after you set a test, it has to go through all the teachers and get signatures. If one teacher doesn't agree with what you did, going back, it is going back. And once all the signatures have been approved by the teachers, they are going to the HOD, and boy, oh boy, that man will send your shit back. Because if you're not performing, if your performance is not up to par, what are you doing? And that's where you can see, Uri, I'm being tested as a teacher. Like, yo, Uri, that week of setting tests, ne? But yeah, those are the things that we do. And in terms of assessments, those are the assessments. So quizzes and tests are the assessments that they do. And finally, the last thing that I'm going to talk about, I know this video is short and sweet, love it. Teacher's lounge or teacher's office. So with EPIK, my main school, Cruella had the English classroom and I had to go sit at the teacher's office, of which, body suit yase bodesha ke sana, like zero sense of privacy. Kuri, you want to do something, and the thing is, you'd be done with work. What must you do with yourself? I would chill on YouTube. Umuntu will just come say, oh, what are you doing? Like, and let's just say you want to listen to music or put in your headsets, they'll come and talk to you. Everything, if they're talking, they're laughing, they're making noise in front of you. Like, that's what I didn't like. Like, I didn't like it. And you'd be quiet. They'll be like, oh, why are you quiet? What am I supposed to say? Because I don't speak Korean. So that was tricky. And at my travel school, I had the English class to myself. So I didn't need to go sit at the teacher's lounge because I had my own classroom, of which that was great. I would play music, do anything at my own free time. No one would disturb me. And with my travel school, we have our own classrooms. So each and every teacher has their own classroom. The English building doesn't have a teacher's lounge. I don't know. Yeah, I think the main building has, but our building doesn't have. So each and every person, you eat your lunch there. But in terms of warming up food and everything, there's a classroom downstairs where we go. You put your food in the fridge, you warm it up. Yeah. The downside is that you don't have a coffee machine, of which I don't drink coffee, so I'm not even bothered. So if you wanna drink water, every floor has a filter, water filter, so you can go dispense. But if you want tea, you bring your own kettle, baba. You bring your own kettle in your classroom. You make your tea in your classroom because they apparently, it was before I came, there was a child who got burned. They have like a hot water dispenser and a cold water one. So that hot water now is locked, so no one can access it. So yeah, so that marks the end of our video. I really hope that you got an insight of what to expect at EPIK and at an independent private public school. And I'm not necessarily saying both are going to be the same, because each school is different and we might be having different roles and responsibilities, because there are some teachers who teach all classes. Do you get it? And there are some teachers who share classes with the other teachers, like with their co-teachers. So things are different. Do you get it? But if you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and all the good stuff. Until next time, bye.
Back in that bag again. Whoa, yeah.